Hello, my name is Steve Dubin. I am the host of Business Way Outside the Box, a podcast for PR Works and its audience. Today we have a discussion about both college admissions, college careers, and careers in general. And we have two guests with us today who I'll bring on. First, attorney Honoria DaSilva-Kilgore and also her colleague and friend Nicole Precourt. Welcome aboard, both of you.
Hi, thanks for having us.
Thank you.
So let's start with you. I mean, I find that I could attempt to botch your bios and do a good job of botching it, but I'd rather have you maybe just tell us, in very brief terms. Let's start with you, Honoria. What your background is and what brought you to being involved with college admissions.
Well, my background is actually as an attorney. My specialty is bankruptcy and estate planning. But out of that growth process, I started asking a lot of more deep questions about, especially my bankruptcy clients that have a lot of student loan debt that can't go away, and what was going on with that, what caused it. And it was always kind of the same thing. I didn't have any counseling. I didn't understand the process. I didn't know I had other options and so forth. So having gone through it myself with our son many years ago and really getting in depth and seeing how it works behind the scenes, I made the assumption, well, everybody knows about these little angles and stuff. And the reality is they have no idea. They have no idea what game they're playing and what the rules are and how to get money and get into places you really want to go. So I started doing that for friends and family, and that grew into setting up the business. So I incorporated Personal College Counseling Inc. in 2019. And since then, we've been matching up kids with their best fit schools and getting the best aid packages in the process as well.
Okay, well, that's thank you. And I know that for most families, helping their kids get into college, get the best possible financial aid package as well, and then steer them towards a career is not something that they do regularly. And it's a huge decision, and reaching out to professionals is well worth the investment. Nicole, can you give us a very brief description of what brought you to where you are today as well?
Of course. So I always say my story started, didn't know what I wanted to do for college. Thought, oh, great, I'm good at business. Started at one school there, ended up transferring. And I went for hospitality and tourism management, which I refer to as my customer service degree, and jokingly say that it evolved into from planning people's events and vacations to helping them plan their careers and lives. After college, I got a job at a local community college, and it was just happenstance. It looked interesting. I was looking for a job and I loved it. I realized I loved so much about helping people figure out what they wanted to do with their life and how to get there. So I have had 20 years of experience working in the higher ed sector. Um, Back in this is in public and private institutions in different states as well. In 2022, I wanted to take a leap of faith and open my own company. And I really saw a gap. At that time, I was working at community college and just saw such a gap of students coming in, literally sitting at my desk with me, saying, great, tell me what to do. I'm here. I have no idea what to do with my life. And these were young adults of varied ages and just had no idea where to start or what to do. People just hadn't had these conversations with them. They didn't know what career exploration was or what their options even were. So that is the premise where I started my company, Waves of Change Careers. And I always say in the waves of change, you find your true direction. That's where the name came from. But it's really just having these conversations at a younger age and understanding how career exploration can be brought into just daily conversations and how much that matters, because then it's going to set you up for success moving forward. So that's the biggest piece when working with my clients is I just help them figure out what it is that you even want to be doing Is it even college? Is it not? Or is it a different option? And informing them about what those other options are, especially being in Massachusetts, colleges the number one thing we think of, right? There's so many around. So just in educating and informing them about some other options to get to their goals as well.
Yeah, great. And so let's start with some questions that our audience might have that come to mind. The first one for you, Honoria, would be what there are a lot of people who can put out their shingles and have put out their shingles claiming the position of being a college advisor. What does the designation of independent educational consultant do? How does it differentiate you from some of the other folks in the field?
I think a lot of people in this space are emphasizing or promising that they're going to get your kid into specific schools, or a little bit of a shell game with your finances, and let's reallocate your investments and things of that nature. That's not my concentration at all. I'm here to help your student and the family find their lane, where their best fit school is and should be, so where they should be targeting, and in the process, maximizing the amount of aid they can get. And usually that's more merit aid based, because financial aid is going to come based on wherever the family income is or is not. So I'm still maximizing aid of all sorts, regardless of where the family tracks on the income side. So that's so important. I don't see how you can plan for college and not have the financial piece in. Never mind the cat. But when we're planning, if the problem is people look at the surface and don't understand how much is going on behind that. I mean, unless you have to, or there's another good reason for picking a school where you're going to pay sticker price. My family's just even this year, class of 25, the average savings was 57% off sticker price, with families getting between 34 and 86% off, without any degradation in value. We're talking top schools here. But you have to know why your student would get any of that money. So the same student with the same profile just may not be of any interest to certain schools and yet be awesome somewhere else. So we need to know where they're awesome, so the student will do great and the family stays in their budget.
Okay, very good. And Nicole, let me ask you, so your side of the business and what you collaborate on is that your focus is more career oriented. And some of that does dovetail into college major. What do I need to focus on in college? Talk a little bit about that, of how you help folks have a better sense of what they might want to pursue later in life.
Of course. So I always say part of this is just knowing yourself. And sometimes we're so busy doing all the things of, especially high school students, they're focused on where they want to go to college. They're focused on extracurricular activities, their homework, all of this. They don't really think about the why or the for what side of it. So it's really just, even at the very basics of, I actually just had this conversation with my own son recently, because it's time to pick classes for next year. He's in high school. So we chat about, what are you picking for electives? Why are you picking them? It's not just because where your friends are. What interests do you have? Just really thinking about what you're naturally good at, who you are as a person. Like my own son, doesn't necessarily want to sit behind a desk all day. So what are some ways we can get you up and moving throughout the day? Just having those very core basic conversations, because then when it comes to the next steps of college or something else, they want to know, okay, if it is college, then making sure that college has the major they're interested in, or even, like, let's be real, a young adult doesn't always know exactly what they want to be doing. In theory, some do, and it's amazing, but it's far and few between. So even if you just have that pathway or career cluster, it's called, just some kind of concept. Hey, I have an interest in science or the medical field, maybe something in business, some kind of concept. You just have to slowly whittle away at it. So it's just having those conversations, and some of it's from parent side of it. We all know too, sometimes children are not receptive to talking with parents about it all, depending on it. So, it's really just utilizing other resources to initiate those conversations too, and give ideas about how to approach those conversations.
Okay, great. And Honoria, let's go back to you. What's the best timeline to reach out to you to have sort of the maximum result for a family and the student?
Honestly, this is where I really want to push the envelope of contemporary thinking here. I want to grab these kids as early as possible and really set that foundation. So for me, anytime after they get their first set of grades as freshmen in high school through sophomore year, that's like, for me, the sweet spot, because we have so much time to not only set the proper foundation with these kids, like Nicole was talking about, helping them pick the most appropriate classes, zero in on what extracurriculars make sense for them to continue or maybe drop or whatever the case may be, but also have time to pivot. I've had a student, he's graduating this year. When we started, it was all about the big schools, maybe going down south. Then he thinks he wants to go into a military track, so we switch gears. I have him do an overnight at a school in that lane. He comes back, we talk about it, he goes, that's definitely not what I want to do now. But we had the time to pivot. So now he's down to choosing between two schools that he's super excited about. But if he had come into me late junior year or as a rising senior with the military idea, he may have been very sad starting as a freshman. So that's really important. And knowing when and how often to take those SATs and how to use those scores to maximize also the potential of where you should be looking.
Okay. And Nicole, Honoria talks about how mercurial teenagers could be, and also how unaware and naive they are about their choices. How do you help kids who have sort of a sudden change of mind and decide they want to do something different than what they initially maybe engaged either one of you to talk about?
Similar thing, it's a process, right? So I always say part of knowing what you want to do is what you don't want to do. So everything is a learning moment with that. I've worked with some high school students over the years, and they have an idea of, oh, this sounds great, I want to do this. They think that this is like the end all be all goal, and then they go and have some kind of experience, and that's really what it is. It's whether it's a college kind of experience where they try something out, or a career where there's an internship opportunity in high school. You can go shadow someone, do some kind of volunteering. Quite often, it's interesting. I feel like careers go in cycles, and right now it's working with animals. That's a big thing. So a lot of people want to be working with animals, but they don't know what that means. So they'll go and do like an internship or a shadow, or even an informational interview, career chat, we call it, where you just go and be around a person in that field, ask them some questions, see what a little bit of a day in the life is like. They might go to a vet's office and think, okay, there's a sad side to this. Maybe this isn't what I thought it was. I'm not just playing with puppies all day. So it's really just, I think we can both attest to that. It's just having the experience, because you can think about it. Even this generation loves to watch videos about everything, right?
Yeah.
Which is great. And there's honestly some really good ones now. But sometimes too, if you can just go and have an experience with someone directly, it's so invaluable. And again, just weed away. If they had an idea and they don't want to do that, we learn from that. Why didn't you want to do that? What was not interesting, or what didn't intrigue you? What did you expect? What did you not get? And then from there, we can better understand, well, maybe let's look at this. This is similar, but not exactly the side you didn't like.
Yeah, very good answer. And Honoria, I think there are skeptics out there who say, well, why would I hire a third-party service when my child has a guidance counselor assigned to them who should be providing them with full insight?
Oh, you're making both of us laugh
I
right
know.
now because that is the perception of what a guidance counselor is doing, but that is not the reality at all. Your guidance counselors are overworked and understaffed. Their main concern is making sure you take the required courses you need to graduate and graduate on time. After that, you're on your own. You might go look at this website or go look at that website. So what we're doing is so different. I am taking a student and their family. We are exploring where they should be looking, how to maximize the experience for the student, really matching their interests, whether academic or outside of academia, whether it be sports clubs, whatnot, with the schools, and also looking at, okay, do you fit the profile of what the school is looking for? Because if you don't, even if you get in, you're not going to get any money. So I want all of it. I want all of it, and I need to know all of that information. Tell me how many guidance counselors know how much mom and dad make or what they do or how much is saved for the college experience. Probably none of them. So it's super important. And the advice you're getting in high school is so different than my timeline and my process. My kids are probably looking at already having 3 SATs under their belt by the time junior year is over. By the end of junior year is when high school counselors start maybe to talk about college and planning, to the extent that that planning means, oh, maybe you should take an SAT exam. It's reactionary rather than planning, and very minimal, if any.
Okay. All right. And Nicole, when I think of careers, I think that most people conceive that as some of the real stereotypes of nursing, desk job, worker guy, right? It's just really
That's all we can do.
right.
If you say it's those Halloween costumes, you can
Yeah,
go,
that's a good
right?
point. Right. Yeah. Right. And so, how do you expose them to other options that might really be a better direction for what they might be interested in?
Yep. No, and it's so true, right? We only know what we know. So it's not to use the word process again, but there's a variety of different tools, and you can go online and start getting information. So it's okay, let's look at this type of job that you have an interest in. Let's look at career adjacent. Let's, again, going back to those informational interviews, career chats, talking with people. If you have an interest in the medical field, everyone, it's a great example, automatically thinks nurse or doctor, right? They don't think of all these other types of roles. I'll never forget, a few years ago, my youngest son broke his leg. We went, at the hospital, and there was someone there who literally did a program just on casting, putting casts on, which, how would you know that, right? It's not this publicized fancy kind of career. So it's really just doing research, talking to people. And that's where I come in, of giving you guidance on how to do that and valid resources, and getting ideas of how to connect with people that can share more information. Because there's always going to be jobs out there that are ever changing and evolving, because jobs that were out there just a year or two ago. I mean, AI has completely taken off. There's so many things that were just ever changing and evolving. So that's where I can give some guidance and tips and work through that process a bit.
Okay, great. And so, yeah, we've come to the end of this podcast, and you've provided some good information, some compelling arguments for why people should use an expert in helping them find a better path for life. I'm sure some folks are going to want to pursue how to have further conversations and discuss how they might be able to work with you. Honoria, can we start with you? What's the best way to reach you?
You can go on my website, personalcollegecounseling.com. All of our different contact information is there, including our Instagram page. Or you can call or text me directly at 508-622-5250. All initial parent and student consultations are free. Usually I meet with the parent, then the student, or sometimes them both together.
Okay, great. And Nicole, best way to contact you?
Sure. So my website, wavesofchangecareers.com, has again all of my contact information. Or if you want to check out my social media, I'm on Facebook and Instagram at Waves of Change Careers. And either way, send a message, send a text, email, whatever works. And same deal of always a free consultation, just to get to better understand how I can help support your child in that process.
Great. Well, thank you both for being on today. I look forward to talking with you in the near future. And let me just say that this has been another exciting episode of Business Way Outside the Box. If you know someone who has an unusual business, please contact us through our website, which is prworkzone.com. And we'd love to consider your potential guests. Thanks again. We will see you in the near future. Take care.
Thank you.